Hello, my friends. Thanks so much for tuning in. So I had an interesting little shopping experience over the weekend at Walmart. I was going in on Saturday. I might have been looking for a couple of last minute Father's Day gifts to throw into what I was giving. And of course, I went down the makeup aisle and the makeup section had been totally redone. Let me tell you the brand that's taking up the most space right now in my Walmart store. It's e.l.f. Almost the entire length of an aisle. I was like, wow, that's a lot of e.l.f. It's all of e.l.f. They did not leave anything out, I don't think. And some other things had been shifted around. We still have hard candy, we still have Rimmel, thank goodness. Still have Milani, but like all those sections were moved around. But then as I'm looking, I'm like, oh, what's this? What's this brand called Pretty Smart? I feel like it's kind of rare in this day and age to be completely like surprised by a new makeup line, having not heard one thing about it on social media first. So I see this brand and I'm like, wow, I've got to try some of this. Not really knowing the backstory, but being able to see that everything was pretty much under $10. Everything I ended up with was like $9.98, $8.98, $7.97. It seemed like it had some kind of parameter on it, you know? Whereas some of these drugstore brands putting out new products, I think of Maybelline, I think of L'Oreal, picture a new foundation coming out from any of those lines and expect to pay over $10. So anyway, I immediately get some products from this brand knowing I'm of course going to do a review, and I do a little digging on it and find out that the person who's the creative product developer, as the website says, for this line is the same gal. That's the same Marissa who founded the Balm, and you guys know how I feel about the Balm. The Balm has had a special place in my heart for a long time here on this channel, and much like the Balm, like you can tell they've gone for like a little bit similar packaging design with the cardboard packaging. They're vegan, they're cruelty-free, no talc, no parabens, phthalates. The list goes on and on. They're claiming that it's luxury quality formulas that are affordable and accessible. They're saying it's USA made beauty from globally sourced ingredients. So let's get started trying it on. I grabbed a handful of different things. If I didn't have kids with me when I was shopping, I probably would have grabbed more, but we've got a good starting point today and we can fill in the blanks with some other products as we need to. So I got it on Saturday. I experimented with these things yesterday, so I kind of have some info going in, and then we'll try them again today. So first off, I got a foundation here. It is the Instant Chemistry Medium Coverage Foundation. My shade is 316 Light Medium Cool. And you know what? I really like a squeezy tube format for a foundation. It really takes up less space. You feel like you have the potential to get everything out of that squeeze tube, but you are going to be like looking at it every time and thinking, what's a consistent amount that works for me for this foundation? So I try to keep it looking like what a pump looks like, you know, because usually that's my standard. I use about a full pump of any foundation I'm getting out. So like a large pea or pearl sized amount. So we're patching that around, and this had amazing coverage yesterday. I was very impressed, and you're gonna see as I bounce this in with my beauty blender, which we know a dampened sponge can sometimes knock down your coverage just a little bit. But check out how pretty this is looking across the cheek there. They say it's medium coverage, and I do agree, but I'd say it's a very strong medium coverage. But look at the beautiful evening out of the skin. I mean, it's looking a lot like that Tear foundation is. My K-Beauty stuff that I've been experimenting with on and off, because I'm seeing that really nice coverage, but what I'm also seeing is kind of a radiance to it. We didn't use a primer at all, and I think going forward as I try new foundations, for the purposes of truly understanding that foundation's finish, I'm gonna try to remember to hold off on primer, because now we can see exactly what kind of finish this foundation is creating, and I think it's looking very skin-like. You're not getting that glow because of shimmer, but it's just, you know, it's got a little luminosity to it. It's got a little moisture. I'm just making sure it's all blended in, and also when you're dabbing a sponge continually over everything, I like to think I'm maybe picking up some excess. I think that's looking fantastic across the skin. Can I still see some small imperfections, like maybe still a little darkness around the eyes, larger freckles, yes, still showing through, but as a whole, no doubt this is a strong medium coverage with a gently radiant finish, I would say. Next up, I got the concealer, and it says Conceal and Appeal, and I also like the little glasses. You can kind of see it better here on the packaging. Real cute. Conceal and Appeal concealer. I got the shade 200 Light Neutral. It really looked like the lightest one in the lineup. I almost went for something a few shades deeper, but given the fact that I enjoy a nice brightness on the under eye, I thought I'd go for this. So I'm gonna do like just a stamp of the doe foot there on the inner part of the eye and the outer part. And I think anyone who tries this concealer is going to find that it is serious coverage. It really provides a lot. Like, look as I start dabbing it around. I feel like it's more of a matte finish. I'm not saying it's drying, but it just gives me the feel of like an e.l.f. camo concealer. And I think they're smart, and I think they know what they're competing with. And as a drugstore brand, I think you really have to be cranking out a good coverage concealer to compete with everything that's happening. You know, maybe down the road you can do something softer and lighter and more radiant, but I think this is a great starting point. But it was just so funny how the brand really snuck up on me. Like, I hadn't heard anything about this online, and I'm just making sure I'm blended there in the inner corner, and I'm blending kind of quickly with that because, again, I feel like it has a bit of a matte finish. I just feel like this is kind of a heavy-duty concealer, and I don't want it to go setting too fast on me. That is a serious coverage product right there. It is definitely right up there with the fuller coverage concealers in the drugstore. I'm thinking about L'Oreal's, I'm thinking about e.l.f.'s. I'm really going to pay attention to the way this wears today, but so far, I mean, it's just looking so smooth and so even. And the foundation applied all over the skin, now feeling, as you would expect, as it sits on the skin for a couple of minutes, it's feeling a little less dewy than it first did. Now for powder, I thought I might save a purchase here by getting one of these little 3-in-1 palettes. Now, some of these had an actual glowy highlighter in this spot, but this one has a setting powder, I noticed. Here we've got the little cardboard packaging like we do see from the balm these days. We have a snapping shut magnetic closure. We have a window that is not like 100% solid plastic, so that sometimes concerns me, but if you're careful enough with the product, it shouldn't be a problem. This says all-in-one face palette. It's number 60, so it includes the light neutral photo blur perfect finish powder here. This is the Hermosa 2 talc-free bronzer, and then the Goddess extra pretty pressed blush. These products here remind me of formulas that I've tried from the balm. There's a pigmentation, there's just a feel. You know, I'm very familiar with the balm products. And yeah, just an all-in-all similar feel going on there. So what I'm first going to do, actually, I'm going to use my hot pink powder puff with this because I want to make it be like any other under eye setting experience for me. And this was the one thing I didn't do yesterday. I just kind of applied that as an all-over finishing powder. But today I'm going to really see how that pairs with the concealer. It looks really light. Looks like I've hardly applied any amount of powder there. I want to set my T-zone as well. We have had such hot weather here lately, and the pool is almost good to go. It's totally filled. I think our guy is just working on a couple of other little technical parts of things. Okay, so there I feel set on the under eye. I didn't need a lot. I'm going to pick up a little more of that with just a powder type of brush. This is a great little size from Profusion. It's the round tapered powder brush. Oh, Profusion is still in my Walmart too, fortunately. The thing is, not everybody has the same stuff going on in their Walmart stores. Like, I'll talk about hard candy, and I know there's some of you who don't have that. But I'm doing my best here in Southern Illinois to keep those lines alive. Okay, we did some light setting all over the rest of the face, but definitely set the T-zone and under eye with that little guy. Now we can move on down the line and use some of the bronzer. It appears to be a matte bronzer, and then the blush has just the gentlest of satin finishes. So I'm going to dig in here. It's making me feel like, as I look at it there in the packaging, it's reminding me of Bahama Mama. Yep, those two shades look pretty close. Anyways, we're going to keep working with this. I'm kicking up a little bit of powder as I tap in with my brush. We went to see Inside Out 2 yesterday in the theater, and it was so good. My kids loved Inside Out 1, have watched it multiple times on Disney Plus at home. I'm just picking up lots of my own hair here and dragging it across my skin. But it was so good. And if you're looking for an animated movie that honestly had so many like laugh out loud, funny and cute moments, but also tackles the topic of mental health, I think you'll really enjoy it. I know there was definitely a part where Bub and I both had tears in our eyes. Like, it's probably one of the best animated movies I've seen in a while, and I've seen a lot. But if you see these little characters and you have no idea like what is Inside Out, it's like you've got this girl, but then she has these different emotions and they're all labeled. And so like from the last movie, you had joy and anger and sadness and disgust. And in this movie, the girl's hitting puberty, and now new emotion characters are like coming into the mix, kind of fighting for ownership of her personality. And you have anxiety and you have envy and you have embarrassment. And it's just So interesting and so good. See how we're getting this soft contour? It's as much bronzer as I would need, really. The shade feels very middle of the road. I've used some bronzers that are more intense than this, but it's certainly doing the job for a matte bronzer. And I really like how some of the compacts, like I said, had a shimmer here. So if that's what you want, you know, you could get one like that. But I really like having that setting powder because I think suddenly the whole thing's a little more versatile. Then I'm going to go into this blush. It looks almost berry colored. Picked up really nicely on the brush. Blushes are definitely a strong point from the balm, and I wouldn't even really know the difference formula-wise here. That was pigmented. That was really everything I needed from one gentle dab in and one swipe across my face. Really love the color. It's like a rich pink. And they had individual blushes as well. They had, I know, individual powders and stuff. But I just thought, here's a way to maybe minimize all the things I have to buy. And I was also kind of in a hurry because I had kids getting impatient throughout this process. So now what we've applied is the foundation, the concealer, and this little palette. And overall, we're looking, I think, really covered right now, but also very matte. So what I might bring in, let me see if one of my eyeshadows could be a highlighter. I'm trying to stick with the brand as much as possible. I do have a really light shade here. By the way, this is classic, the balm types of colors here. The plum, the kind of taupey medium browns, I could totally see that being a quad from them. Ooh, but there is this soft shimmer. This is the eyeshadow quad 104 Celebrity Artist eyeshadow palette, and then they just list off the shades in it. It's Perry Twinkle, My Shadow, Whirlwind, and Blender. How you doing, Biddy? How many thumbs up do you give Inside Out to? You give it 2 thumbs up? Love you. How'd you sleep?
Good.
You're gonna need to go back to sleep. You got a little internal 5:30 alarm going off in your head. Anyways, we are going into the light shade here, just dipping in, tapping off any excess. Oh, total highlighter vibes. I'm trying to be careful not to use too much because I know we could get overwhelmed. It is a pigmented eyeshadow, but our skin could use just a little bit of glow after all these matte steps. There were just 3 different eye quads. One was like more brownish bronze. One was maybe a little mauve-y. It was kind of hard to tell actually. But then I noticed that there was a plum in this one. I couldn't like fully open them up and the shades are kind of covered like that. But yeah, this is the 104. And you have a bonus highlighter in there. I did not grab any brow products this time around, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do my brows and then we'll put together an eye look. Brows are done. I put on Milani eyeshadow primer. I am still going back and forth with that new e.l.f. eyeshadow primer too, but I just thought with Milani being my holy grail, I'll make that be the one that I use underneath this. I did not wear this particular eyeshadow palette yesterday. So this is my first go round with the eyeshadow. We have that shimmery color that we're able to use as a highlight, and then the other 3 are mattes. So matte plum, matte soft brown, and then a matte kind of medium taupe. I'm going to take the soft brown, pick up a little bit of that on my brush, and the formula is seeming a lot like the balms in that you can put your brush in, you're not going to kick up a lot of powdery excess. Back in the day when the balm had first put out, remember the Nude Tude palette? They were turning out some great stuff, some really cute and creative palettes. Then there was the Nude Dude, and just the packaging on that was hilarious. But anyways, I always noted it was a softer formula. Like you put your brush in, expect to have excess, put your brush in very softly and be aware of that kind of thing. And then they reformulated and kind of went the clean beauty route with things. And the powders and the products are still really good. You know, really they manage to be very, very pigmented and nice, but not the amount of powdery kick up when you go in, which honestly for the consumer, I think it amounts to a little less waste if you can still have a really pigmented shadow that's not going to give you a cloud of dust that you just end up blowing away, you know? So this really feels similar to the balm's current formula actually. So that's that brownish color just blended throughout the crease. Perfect little easy crease color. I'm building it lightly, but I think it could have even more depth if you wanted it to. Let's try taking a little bit of this cool shade into the crease as well. Just into the real depth of the crease. See how she does. Okay, a little shadowy, adding a little extra depth. Very simple, very easy. Now we're going to take some Plum and let's see how true this Plum actually looks, because sometimes dark purples are tricky. You know, they look purple. I can identify that as purple in the palette or Plum, but then you get it on the eyes and it's like, where did the color go? So let's see what we actually get. Okay, I'm still seeing Plum, but it might need to be built just a little bit. Okay, that's great. With a couple passes over and a slightly more loaded up brush, definitely seeing more of that plummy color come out. Ooh, digging that. Nice amount of intensity. I'm flipping my brush around so I can really get that shade not only onto the lid, but into the crease. This is some really good quality drugstore eyeshadow, my friends. I'm taking my little small pointed brush now, nothing additional on it, because I know I really got a good amount of shadow there applied to my crease. And I think this is plenty. I'm just able to blend that out a little more, make it work in with those original shades that were applied. Swirl, swirl. I love that I get to do this for a living. I like how I've blended. I can still identify that there is, yes, indeed, Plum on my lid, but it's blending out really nicely, really easily. Kind of smoky, kind of cute. Then we do have some bare space here on the inner part of the lid, and I want to put some of the shimmer there and see it in a little more concentrated way than we did with the highlighter. We applied it as highlight. We were trying to go like as soft and light as possible. I think this is going to be super brightening. Oh yeah. The most recent large palette that the Balm has put out is their Ms. Nude York. I think it had a shade a lot like this in there. Nice little splash of brightness. I think it really would have been pretty if I just took the Plum all over the lid and only used this around the inner corner. Okay, awesome. We do have a mascara from this line, but liner-wise, I didn't get anything. Liner wasn't a priority product for me. You know what I want to do? I'm going to take a little smudge of my Laura Geller shadow stick here in Smoky Amethyst, the Kajal Longwear stick. Do a little bit of this on the upper part of the eye, and then blend a little bit of this shade, which is Smoky Plum. It's actually kind of a softer looking Plum. I feel like that would be gorgeous on the lower lash line. Really like using these sticks because they have amazing staying power. And any more on my lower lash line, I'm just not quick to put powder there, especially in this hot weather. Like, I mean, stuff just fades. It either fades or it travels. And here I can just get that nice little bit of definition around the base of the lashes. But then on the lower part, I can use this. It's like a soft matte, soft plum. And I think it'll coordinate beautifully with this look. Just the perfect smudgy look down there. And if you want to do shadow on your lower lash line, I mean, go for it. It's just when I run into something that ends up giving me great staying power, I have a hard time veering off. It's a really dusty, smoky, soft purpley color. Now the mascara. This is called the Falsies Mascara. I got it in 110 black. This did not wow me yesterday. It's the kind of the one part of the line that left me a little bit like, I am kind of hard to please on mascaras. It seems like a dry formula, which I would think would be really good for me, but I thought it took a lot of building to get it to my desired place. And then looking at my lashes later in the day, they really dropped. And it was like, I tried to recurl them even with my lash curler. They didn't even want to go like back up. But we're going to try to give them as good of a starting point as we can with this curl. And granted, as we all know, the initial story of a mascara can change with continued use. Oftentimes we start to like them better with time, but we do have a rubber bristle brush that is tapered toward the tip. A real classic design that I'm seeing come out a lot from different brands. Just like e.l.f.'s lash extender, it's similar to the Brush on Thrive liquid lash extensions as well. I think they had another mascara formula available also, but it's not gonna clump your lashes together, which I do like. They're at first coat. That's giving me more today than it did yesterday, you know, kind of funny. I'm seeing if it says anything about being tubing. It does not. I didn't think it was the way it removed last night. This is coat number 2. I can tell that there's dryness in that first coat. It's still not like a crispy dryness, if you know what I mean. but I'm trying to just get a little more thickness and length going on here. Trying to use whatever buildup is on the end of the brush to actually come off onto my lashes. Part of the curl holding thing was I felt like I was raking through my lashes a lot yesterday to get this built up, and that in itself can drop your curl. But I'm trying, and it's looking nice and thick, not incredibly long, but a pretty good thick look there right now. May come back over there for another coat, but let's start on the left eye. But all in all, I did have good staying power yesterday with my look. I did not put it through a lot. Like our pool was not really usable yet yesterday, so I didn't put it out in the heat, and then I went and watched a movie. Like, the movie theater is not going to do anything to my eyes, except I did cry a little bit, but nothing was smudged or smeared. The movie just got me. It'll get you too if you watch it. But all over the face, I thought the foundation had a good look. I set it a little more yesterday than I'm gonna do today, because yesterday I didn't use just that little palette powder. I did, you know, my regular old loose powder, set in the under eye, used a little more all around the face. It's just, once again, all in all, kind of a slow build for me with this. This is coming from somebody who does not have amazing lashes as is and kind of needs the mascara to do a lot. And I'm liking how it's not clumping them together. It's not giving me the look of fewer lashes. I just want a little more bulk to come on there, you know what I'm saying? Running back over to this eye, it's even more dry. There is still some building taking place, a little bit. The thing about drier formulas, sometimes they can be what you want initially. Certain ones can, like they can just deposit it on there at the get-go and it's looking really good, but they don't always continue to keep building and building quite as well. And I'm kind of reaching a point where I feel like I'm passing the brush through over and over, but I'm not getting a ton more action. There's a little extra product off the tip of the brush. Maybe I can get that to go somewhere for me. So I think that's about all we're going to get out of it. I give it a thumbs up in the aspect of not clumping all my lashes together and making me look like I have fewer lashes, but I have to give it kind of an average rating in terms of giving me a ton of thickness and a ton of length. It's just a little bit longer process, and it doesn't always pay off because it's not building amazingly on itself. I'm going to make sure I'm blended right here on the inner part. Might have just breezed over that. I think I got it now. Then for lips, we had multiple different lip options. I just went for one to start off here. I got the liquid lip and cheek stain, so I could use this on the cheeks as well. The shade is called Blossom, number 63. I'm always up for like a soft red stain, so I thought let's go for this. Doe foot applicator, and really no scent to this, and you're not gonna notice a scent really at all coming off of anything. Really thin. It's like a creamy stain, which I think the balm has something similar to this. Tally the amount of times Em said that in this video. I wore this yesterday. It did have decent staying power. Not as hardcore as like a full-on liquid lipstick or a matte ink crayon, but still pretty good. I've not tried this on the cheeks, and I feel like this would be a nice finishing touch. Even though the skin's looking so good, so smooth. Let's just put a little bit on there and see where it goes. We're here to experiment. We're here to play. Rosy. Fun. I can totally see that there on the outer part of the apple of the cheek. Yes, ma'am. Just a little swipe. Yes. Definitely scratching that itch for extra blush at the end of the look. Digging. Didn't really take away the glow from the highlight. We still got that going on there. It's kind of reminding me of the ultra blotted lip idea from ColourPop. Those can go on kind of creamy. They do stain the lips, but they feel very lightweight. If I were to swatch this on my hand, yeah, it's definitely leaving this rosy stain that's setting in, but I think the creaminess of it also kind of makes it a little easier to work with, a little more manageable. Just making sure my edges are blended there. That looks really pretty. Great summertime lip. I would totally be up for trying other shades of this formula. Hair is coming down. It's official. The look is complete. What do we think of this new stuff, you guys? I think I definitely ran into some awesome gems. I really love the foundation. I think that went on beautifully. I think you're going to really enjoy the way this has coverage, but yet it has that kind of natural radiance to it as well. And we did not use a primer underneath, so that was all coming from this product, and I thought it looked actually beautiful. A heavy-duty concealer. I think these are a great little combo, and enjoyed the fact that they included just a setting powder in the face trio. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it allowed me to really keep from making an additional purchase here because then I had my bronzer and my blush all in that palette as well. I really want to try other kinds of lip products from this line, but I think the Liquid Lip and Cheek Stain is a really fun product, and if you like light, like you can barely feel it types of products on your lips, you're going to enjoy this, and it just goes on with ease. Not quite as fussy as those purely watery stains, although I do like those as well. I feel like I'm giving an actual ranking here without saying I'm ranking it, but I enjoyed the eyeshadows. I think that's a very everyday look, not ultra unique, and I think they're not going for ultra unique. I think they're going for very wearable, very everyday friendly options in this line. In my store, there were two other options you could go for, but I like some Plum, and I can really see the Plum on there, but you could even leave that out, and these three could give you a very everyday easy look, and don't forget that can be highlighter. My least favorite thing was the mascara. I know this can be a very personal thing, like depending on what your lash type is, but for me, I just feel like I'm doing better right now from other brands in the drugstore. And you know, it's not terrible. There are some good points about it, but it's just not an all-in-all fave for me. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it a thumbs up on the packaging. I think it's really cute. I like that all in all, it's pink with little hot pink and orange accents. I really like it. Everything looked so cute and so cohesive in the whole brand as it was laid out there. The things that can be compact are being kept pretty compact. Squeeze tube on the foundation, I would give some bonus points there. This is definitely not everything in this line. They have some other stuff, and I'm excited to branch out, but I think it also is kind of informative to you as someone who's just first came upon it, trying it out for the first time. You know, what things would I actually choose from the line? Maybe not a blanket like, oh, I'm gonna grab one of everything, but what items actually drew me in and made me feel like, yes, I want to try those things. Here you see, these are the things that were chosen first. So thank you all so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.